Whenever I speak to business leaders, I ask them, what is stopping you from getting AI experiences inside your customer-facing channels? And the two most common answers I hear are, number one, we're worried about giving the wrong answer. And number two, we're worried about leaking data. So today we're going to speak about why Data Cloud is such an important part of this deeply integrated platform that we call Agentforce, why it enables trust and accuracy. But first, thank you. Thanks everyone for joining today. We really do appreciate the investment of your time. We're going to focus, we're going to break the session into kind of three sections. First is, what does Data Cloud do? How does it do it? And then finally, we're going to speak with John Lewis, and we're going to see how they actually use it inside their customer journeys. So this is what Data Cloud does. Data Cloud's job is to act as an intelligent activation layer. So it harmonizes data across your front, middle, and back office systems and across all your channels into a consistent view of your business and your customers, and it makes it available inside workflow. So when we talk about making it available inside workflow, there are a number of consumers we need to bring data to. First is AI agents. They need context in order to deliver accurate and personalized results. Second, business applications. Your people who are working in Sales Cloud or Service Cloud or the marketing tools need access to data points about their customer in order to make relevant offers, put them on relevant journeys, have more relevant conversations. And then finally, we use Data Cloud to build reusable metrics for all of your customer-facing measures so that you can make better decisions faster inside those BI tools that you use every day. So that's what Data Cloud does. Now, we think the impact of this is a couple of really big impacts that you'll notice immediately. One, most organizations, as your customer moves across all of your customer-facing channels, you tend to have lots of different silos, especially if you have different SaaS applications for each channel. We harmonize the data across channels so you can enable these cross-channel journeys. So you can enable full lifecycle campaigns for those customers. So that's how do we harmonize data horizontally. Secondly, we harmonize the data vertically across back office and front office systems. So what we tend to find with most organizations that we speak to, they have a lot of data inside their lakehouses that relate to the customer, but that data is not stored in a format where it can be used easily within customer journeys. It tends to be organized around the line of business, around products, and in order for us to use that, we need to virtualize it using zero copy and map it to this unified view of the customer so we can use it inside workflow. So that's what we call front to back integration and horizontal integration. Now, how does Data Cloud actually do this? I'm going to go through this really quickly. There's a few key steps we need to go through in order to get data ready for use inside workflow. I'm going to break these up into 5. Firstly, we have 200 connectors inside Data Cloud, more than 200 connectors. We can connect to the data wherever it sits and we can ingest it. We can also bring data in using real-time mechanisms by instrumenting your websites. But more importantly, we recognize that a lot of customers have already made deep investments in lakehouses. So where you have high-quality data products that you would like to use inside workflow, we can virtualize those using zero copy. And we think that this is the ultimate upgrade for your Snowflake environment, for your Databricks environment, for your Google BigQuery environment, for your AWS environment. It helps you to take data assets you already have and link it to that unified view of the customer without moving it, so that you query it on demand and you use it whenever it's required inside workflow. So that's connecting, but connecting isn't everything. Just because we connect to the data doesn't mean it's available for use inside workflow. We now need to translate that data and make it look like a Salesforce object. So we take all of your different schemas that you have and we translate them into a standard customer 360 object. So we know how that data relates to the opportunity, to the case, to the individual, to the lead. So we know how to use it inside workflow. We know how to build repeatable workflow. This dramatically reduces customization on the front end. We use Data Cloud inside Salesforce. When we deployed Data Cloud, we went from 2 million lines of custom code to 200,000. So a 90% reduction because we are harmonizing data at source and doing that once and then activating everywhere. Now, what we tend to find is once we've connected the data and we've harmonized it, all of the data points about the customer tend to have different identifiers across all your channels and all your different backend systems. So Data Cloud contains a matching engine. It matches all of that data for the one customer into one unified profile. And then it enables you to build calculations and predictions about what the customer might do next. Now, finally, before we can bring data into workflow, we also need to establish governance. So this is relatively new. As data flows into Data Cloud, we use AI to tag the data, both at object level and at column level, so we know what each column contains. and then we can establish attribute-based access controls. We can say, for this use case, I need access to PII. For this use case, I need access to billing data. And so we can dynamically mask data for each of the downstream use cases. Really important. You may have one agent that is on an external channel and one agent is on an internal channel. Chances are they need access to a different amount of data in order to be able to operate safely. Data Cloud is the place where we enforce that in one place so we can activate everywhere. Right now, the data is ready for activation. So we can expose it inside workflow. We can expose it, we can set data-driven actions to kick off Salesforce workflow. We can expose it inside the screens where your people operate. We can give it to your marketers in terms of segmentation. And we can use the same view of the customer for agents and humans. So that's really what's important. You build it once, use it on agentic channels and human channels, use it across all your outbound and inbound interactions with the customer. And you don't just do that for one org. If you have multiple Salesforce orgs, we can now use Data Cloud One to organize that data around a connected view of the customer that spans all of your organizations, and we can synchronize metadata so that, again, you harmonize the data once, use it everywhere across your organization, so you have this true 360 view of every touch point you've had with your customer. Now, so far we've been talking about structured data, and that's kind of one part of the puzzle that we have to solve when we are building and deploying agents at scale. But agents also need an additional set of data. They need unstructured data so that they understand more context about your business processes. They might need to understand your FAQs, your product descriptions, your policy documents, your legal contracts. They might need to understand the conversations you've had with your customers recently. So Data Cloud is also the way that we bring unstructured data into the Customer 360. And so when we built Agentforce, we also built this end-to-end managed pipeline for unstructured data that runs natively inside Data Cloud and that is tightly integrated into Atlas. So what we found when we started to do RAG at scale, when we started to do retrieval augmented generation in generative AI, is it's not enough just to throw all your data into a big bucket and query it and hope for the best. You often need to enrich the data as it flows through the pipeline and manage the way you structure queries so that you can retrieve the right data for the right conversation. So Atlas and Data Cloud are tightly integrated. You'll see as data flows in, we use RAG-enriched chunking and embedding to enrich the data, generate additional chunks which improve the accuracy of retrieval. And we also manage a set of retrievers inside Data Cloud that enable you to pre-filter that data. So you can filter, for example, only fetch knowledge for this product category or only fetch knowledge for this customer when you are retrieving data inside Agentforce. Now, we'll continue to invest in making unstructured data retrieval even more and more effective, and we'll continue to put more and more unstructured data features inside Data Cloud. This is the way that we bring that into Salesforce at scale. So we will continue to deliver more out-of-the-box connectors for unstructured data, and we've just launched the Document AI set of interfaces, which enable us, when you bring in, for example, PDFs, you can convert them into semi-structured data so you can do more things with that data. So this will be the platform that we use to continue to bring all of that additional context into Salesforce to enable you to execute at scale. Right, I'm just about to pass off to Rachel to show a quick demonstration of how this whole end-to-end pipeline works at scale. But first, before you get started with Data Cloud, don't think of this as yet another big data project where I have to build a universal view of everything before I can get any value. Every Data Cloud project that is successful starts with the data consumer in mind. Who is the person in sales or service or marketing or commerce that needs to use the data? Firstly, what do they want to know about their customer in the flow of work? Secondly, it's not just about the raw data. What is the thing that they want to predict? What is the calculation that matters most to them? Do they care about the likelihood to trip? Do they care about the next best offer? What is the thing you want to calculate with that data? Thirdly, if they can monitor data across the enterprise and they can look for changes, what workflow would they kick off? If a record is created in system A, I might want to kick off a task in system B. That's what Data Cloud is used for automating those data-driven actions. And then finally, as your people start to work with agents, what work do they want to hand off to those agents? And what additional unstructured knowledge do those agents need in order to have enough context to get work done? So by going through these 4 questions and bringing data into Data Cloud as it's required for those jobs to be done that your people want to do in all of your customer-facing channels, you can keep your Data Cloud projects manageable, incremental, and you can deliver solid value to your customers as you go forward. Now I'm going to hand over to Rachel to show Data Cloud in action.
Great. Thank you, Francois. So hi, everybody. My name is Rachel Cassidy. I'm a Principal Solution Engineer at Salesforce, and I'm going to be showing you Data Cloud in action and how we can use zero copy to power an agent. So in the example that we have here, we have Electra, a very appropriately named electric car company. And they have two problems that keep them up at night. The first one is they have loads of really, really rich data on their website in terms of what cars have people looked at, what colors, what config, and they're not actually really doing anything with that information. Let me just turn that off so it won't load. But they really want to be using that information and get it in the front office for people to be able to use it. The second thing that they have that keeps them up is they have data in their data lake. They also have Internet of Things data coming from the actual cars. They've got their marketing, CRM, service, pretty much data everywhere. And they don't have a real understanding of who I am as a customer or who they have as an account. So here, I can see some people have joined, which is cool. So I'm just going to swap to my phone to bring this up. OK, so this is just imagining I'm in the voice of the customer. I spent some time on the Electra website. I'm really engaged. And because of that engagement, they're going to show me a survey. And the whole idea of this is to get more information about me, to recommend me what car they think is best to show me. So where I'd like to go next, let's say sailing. Nowhere else I'd rather be, but if not, maybe surfing. I will go with the orchestra, Got to Be Back to the Future, and going to go with pink. OK, so that is, they don't know who I am yet, but that's anonymous data that can be used to better understand who I actually am. So now if we stay in the voice of me, I'm going to go to stage 2. So in real time, Salesforce has configured, they've given me prediction models. This is the car that they think is best for me. So I can have a look at that car. I can configure it. I can choose additional things that I want about it. Maybe we'll make it, change it to black, confirm. Yep, that all looks fine. Can take a picture, put in all my details, consent to marketing, and then we will see all this flowing back into Salesforce. So here we've stitched all that anonymous data, we've mapped it to my profile, and now we're going to contacts. I can see that information. So me as an employee now of Electra, which change hats, say I'm in the dealership or I'm in the sales or service office, I can see everything that you know about me. If there was data in other systems that you could unify with my email address or my name or anything like that, that is also available right here. You can see that I've already got a propensity to purchase model. Let me zoom in a little bit for you. An engagement score as well. This is not analytical data that sits in your analysis platform that maybe gets batched in once a week. It is here right now for your front of service to be able to use. You can also see my activities. There's obviously just all my web browsing, but maybe if I'd open an email, if I'd actually gone into the dealership, can see the segments that I sit in real time. Uses for marketing, send it back to the website, to the app for that personalization. So just all of this information from multiple systems in this one view. And if we now assume that I have leased that vehicle that I was looking at, again, in real time, when we look at my contact view, I've had a contract leased to me, okay? This sits in my data lake. I don't need this contract in Salesforce, but what I do need in Salesforce is I want to have my contract end date, and I want to know how many miles per year are on this leasing agreement for this car. So this is part of the zero copy. This information has not moved into Salesforce. We are just virtualizing this information right here. And obviously, this is the Data Cloud keynote, so I want to show you how we do this with Data Cloud. So Data Cloud, this is all one platform. It sits here within the app launcher. And the first thing Electra would have done when they set this up, to Francois' point, thinking of the end user, what do they want to use this data for, is set up data streams. So we have over 200 connectors with pre-built integrations and bundles. We have zero copy. So this is that virtualization piece that we've got through from our data lake. We've got batch real-time ingesters. We have many, many connectors. So I won't go too fast, but you can basically see that there is a lot in here. Okay, and once you bring in a new data stream, we can map it. This isn't somewhere you will be every day. I'm just showing you this for how it would be set up. So we can see on the left here, this is everything that is in my source system. Okay, Data Cloud is a system of reference. Everything here is a source. And everything on the right is what I want to call it in Salesforce. And those fields I want to be available for my front of office online staff, my agents, and in the dealership as well. If any of those names I don't like, I can change them. I can have a one-to-one relationship, one-to-many. I can have multiple data model objects in here. And the goal of all of this is to be able to map it to better understand, me as a customer, as an individual, or an account, whatever makes the most sense to your business and also to both. So now if you jump into the data model, you can easily see everything that is actually mapped and unified to me as an individual. And I can see that some of this will be zero copy. So this data is not all sitting in Salesforce, but it is all available here for me to be able to use it. And as you saw as well in Francois' presentation, this same process can work for unstructured data. So here is just an example of my leasing contract from Electra. This is obviously an unstructured PDF, but Data Cloud can handle structured data, semi-structured. So this could be reviews of the dealership or reviews of the car, social media posts, and documents such as this, which are unstructured. So in Data Cloud, we will chunk this, we will make it available for Agentforce, and we can bring this information as well back to what you know about me or an account. And you can use all of this for that front office view and then also for agentic AI. So now I'm just going to jump back into the view of me as a customer. And we're going to jump into Agent Builder. So I could do this again in the app to just show you the conversation that I could have with the agent, but I just want to show it to you here directly so you can get a better sense of what's actually happening in Agent Builder, if you can see that okay. Okay, so here all I asked the agent was, imagine that I have actually forgotten the details of my lease and I've forgotten how much mileage I'm supposed to do a year on the car. So I've just come in here, I've given this agent, I'm not going to call up the call center, I'm not going to sit in a queue. I'm just going to ask the agent here. So my contracted miles is 1,000 miles per year. Okay, that's cool. Again, this is information that sits in my data lake. It is not actually in Salesforce. But now if we imagine I actually, say there's a big storm come in or something like that, which would mean that Electra are actually going to increase my lease and they're going to give me more miles for that year, in anticipation of this. So I'm running this SQL in the data lake. You can still see that. Yep, cool. And now we should see in Agentforce so I've changed that underlying data. I'm now just going to ask that agent, can you please just check that again and check my mileage? Oops, sorry, my shortcut key. Can you please recheck? And then this will reflect the new mileage that you can see there that we just put in Snowflake, in my data lake, sorry. And this will also be immediately available as well on the contact view when we update here. We'll also see it there, okay? So that's just a quick demonstration of how you can have data from multiple different sources all coming into Data Cloud to really have that true understanding of who your customer is, and also how you can use that in real time for Agentforce and agentic AI. And I'm now really pleased to introduce to stage our Data Cloud RVP, Lewis Martin, who's up here with the John Lewis Partnership. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Rach. I have to say, I have no idea how you squeezed all of that in 10 minutes. Huge round of applause one more time for Rach. It's not easy to demo live data. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lewis Martin. I have the pleasure of looking after our Data Cloud business here in the UK and I'm even more delighted to welcome on stage my very good friend, hopefully we're friends, very good friend, Michael Cato from John Lewis Partnership. Now, Michael, I realise that we are the session before the Louis Theroux Q&A.
We are.
So I will try and not make this as awkward as he makes some of his interviewees. We'll try and seamlessly go through this. So hopefully everyone in the audience we probably don't need to introduce the partnership. Hopefully you've all shopped at the iconic brands of John Lewis, the fantastic grocer of Waitrose, and the finance through JL Money. Brilliant, brilliant partnership. But maybe what we'll start with is, do you want to introduce your role within the partnership and what your team does?
Yeah, sure. So hi everyone, my name is Michael. I am the product manager for our marketing technology at the partnership. So that sits across John Lewis, Waitrose and our John Lewis Money team. And I guess my role is to make sure that we are inputting and have the best technology at hand to support all of our users across the business, which obviously at the moment predominantly sits within our marketing team, of which there is over 120 different users across the partnership. So I guess my role is to make sure they're very happy people, which hopefully we do, but I'm probably not the best person to ask. It's the users that are the best people. But that's our aim anyways, to make sure they have the right technology, the right processes in place central to ensure that they can do what they're best at doing.
And that team is a team that you've ran and sat in for many a year now. Sits between the business, it sits between technology, it sits between data. Do you want to talk through a little bit about the product mindset that the partnership?
Yeah, I guess it's a relatively new, I say new, few years, mindset that we've had, but we are aiming to be a more product-centric business, whereby we have individuals like myself and we have other counterparts like people who sit across Tableau and our Service Cloud team, but also across our data teams as well, which we'll come on to a little bit later. No, we won't, because we haven't rehearsed this at all, have we, Lewis? But the aim is that we're product-centric and that we have a mindset around that. And what that basically means is that we deliver agility across the business in how we deliver our technology stack, but also means that we're able to be in a position where we can provide that best advice to our users on how best to get the most out of the tools. We can make sure that they're adopting the tools in the right way. If they also want to add features, enhancements, and also how best to integrate other third parties and technologies on top of what we already have as a core product of Salesforce, then it's our job to make sure that we can do that and in the most agile and efficient way as possible, in a nutshell.
Sounds good. Well, this wouldn't be a Data Cloud keynote if we didn't talk about Data Cloud. JLP, the partnership, have had a very long-standing relationship with Salesforce. Salesforce is used within the contact center. Salesforce is used for marketing campaign management. You're big users of our Tableau solution as well. It's probably, 15 months or so that we started the Data Cloud journey with the partnership. How has time flown? It's been a great time. So we started 15 months ago. We started off with a proof of technology, a proof of value. And the proof of value was all about trying to make sure that the Data Cloud solution works and coexists with the partnership's investment already with technology, such as Snowflake, such as Tableau. Do you want to talk through a little bit about the proof of value? And actually, let's more importantly, let's talk about the money. Let's talk about the money. Everyone in this room now, I'm sure, has either built business cases in the past or tried to get funding for a new program or a new technology purchase. Let's talk a little bit about the funding side of the proof of value. We proved out the technology, but let's talk about the KPIs that you were looking to increase, the efficiency gains that you were hoping the solution might offer. So let's talk about that.
I guess the best place to start is a little bit of context as to probably why we even got to that position in the first place. So a little bit of context for you is that traditionally, as companies are set up, you have a company that's set up with a data landscape. You might also have an element of intelligence that's sitting over the top of it. And then you might also have some execution tools that sit on top of that. What often is missing and what we identified as the missing part to this is, great that you've got that, but how do you actually properly activate all of that intelligence and all of that data across those various different channels? How do you do that at scale? How do you enhance what you're trying to do as part of your campaign and marketing journey and all of your other conversations you're having with your customers at scale? And for us, the hypothesis we had at the time was that we were missing a CDP style capability, which I'm sure most people have heard of. And in our world, we wanted to have a look at what Data Cloud could offer us. And naturally, there's skepticism, and there probably still is, around what CDP technology can do. But what we wanted to do was avoid the opinions of what people thought it was or what it wasn't, and entertain the notion of fact-based decision-making, which is what a POV was all about for us. So we set off on a journey to start a proof of value, excuse me, which started to articulate and start to have a look at where could we drive in. For us, there was a couple of pieces we want to ensure. Firstly, that it was easy to set up. Secondly, is that it drove efficiency gains. And thirdly, that it drove an increase in profitability. Those are our three KPIs that we looked to measure. And what we quickly found out is that from an ease of setup point of view, I can't take any credit for this. This is the amazing team that we have at the partnership. But it took us 7 weeks from the point of signing that contract through to then getting it stood up. The platform was there ready to go to ingest data from our teams. That was firstly efficiency in how quickly it was to spin this up. Second thing was efficiency. So actually we noticed through the POV that it drove up to 70% efficiency gains in how teams were actually executing campaigns to remove that manual setup, remove a lot of that fat from within the process. And then the third area is profitability. And so we noticed that there were some campaigns in our stack that were increased by over 20% in profitability as part of that as well. And so those three key things were absolutely instrumental in ensuring that we could then sign on the dotted line for the contract as a full rollout.
I think when you mentioned 7 minutes, 7 minutes?
7 minutes.
7 minutes, that was great, wasn't it?
Yeah.
7 weeks to go from contract signature to an initial go live. I think a lot of people in the room will be thinking that's incredibly fast time to value. You don't know this question's coming. Lessons learned? Like how did you mobilize a team to get there within 7 weeks? Because we've all been involved in technology for a long time, and typically projects do take far longer.
Yeah, and we've all been stung by it, right? But I think the thing that you need to remove the concept of thinking that this is going to be a legacy waterfall style implementation of something that you've done before, which we've probably all been part of previously. But actually, this is when people say, I came to these events a few years ago, and you hear these stories about how it's low code, no code, and it's just point and click. And you kind of go into this with skepticism, and we did. But actually, by getting a team in place, which is one, yes, they've got the certifications, yes, they've got the history of learning on this, but also working with like we did with our customer success team, with our architects, and with the wider Salesforce ecosystem. But also me personally, going off and talking to other companies that have done this as well. So me personally talking to the Heathrow team, the Formula One team, and we're creating that customer ecosystem that we have has been helpful to making sure that we can actually deliver the best solution as well. So for us, it's building the network, not just within JLP, but also with other partners, like who we work with, but also with other customers that I personally work with as well.
And I need to thank you, actually. You recently joined the first customer advisory board for Data Cloud in the UK a few weeks back. So a lot of our product leadership team flew over to London, met with some of our largest, most trailblazing customers. So thank you so much for being part of that, being part of the community. Really, really helpful. That's a good pivot onto my probably last question, because we are running out of time. I guess, what's next? What's next for Data Cloud within the partnership? We started off with marketing. We started off with campaign management improvements and efficiencies. What's next?
Yeah, well, we're still going, and there's still work that we need to look at for marketing. But I think the biggest thing that people will start to hear is that it's just here for marketing, or it's just here to solve some solutions for specific industries. But actually what we're starting to look at is a couple of things. One is that actually where does Agentforce come into play here? And actually how can agents start to drive that efficiency gain even further? We've hopefully got some trials launching pre-peak, so keep an eye out for some of those. And also for us, it's starting to look at where can this work across our other areas of the business. So not just looking at our marketing teams, but also starting to look at how can this support the teams that are utilizing Tableau? How can this support some of our in-store partners and our online teams and our digital teams as well? So for us, it's starting to look at how can we go broader and bigger in what we're trying to do today. So I'm excited.
Sounds super exciting. And something we spoke about a bit earlier on today. The roadmap for Salesforce Data Cloud is incredibly fast moving. With monthly releases, Salesforce typically release 3 times a year. Data Cloud, we're releasing once a month. The roadmap is moving incredibly fast. And we announced only this week that we're moving into the space of data collaboration, data clean rooms. So that's super exciting. We're moving into this world. We've got over 150 customers on Data Cloud in the UK, over 1,000 globally. Think about the opportunity of sharing data in a secure, compliant way for audience overlap, for monetization. Really, really exciting place. And I'm sure we'll have some exciting conversations about this. Thank you so much, Michael, for sharing the stage with me. If anyone wants to grab myself or Michael after this, we'll be here for a very short amount of time, or I'm sure you'll see us somewhere having a drink a little bit later on. Thank you so much, Michael. Really, really appreciate the chat.